Hope this interview gets me a gig. Do you need a good mural artist? I got stuff. Finding your own style, I define as doing what you want to do the way you like to do it. I got to the top, under the base of the cloud, and I just went for a long glide. Much after that, I started my own business, Buzz Displays and Signwriting Murals.
Hello, I'm David Duffin, and today's guest is our infinitely creative artist and musician, Jules Makk.
Hi mate.
Hey, what are you doing?
These days,
Yeah.
I'm almost retired now, but I've had a good long career involved in music and art and a whole bunch of other stuff too, poetry.
So, where are you living now?
Enough, but that's another story.
It's an amazing house. He's got everything in there, hang gliders, drum kits.
Yeah, I've got a music studio downstairs where I record and produce albums for people, and I also write a whole bunch of music and songs myself.
Yeah, that's right. So how long have you been doing the art game? Let's just stick with art. We can talk about music. But
Back in '79, I decided to do an improvership in signwriting. And I did some signwriting, and then I went out and worked for other companies, and then I started my own company in '83, Buzz Displays, and been working that ever since, which is a long time.
that's right.
And during that period, I developed a lot of industry skills. I spent time in theatre. I did courses in theatre, set construction, scenic art, props making, and then I did display for a while. I did a course in display with the Centre for Performing Arts. Then I worked as a display artist for a couple of years, and then pretty much after that I started my own business, Buzz Displays and Signwriting Murals.
Can you define the fundamental role of what an artist may be or should do?
Fundamental, whoa. Right,
It's a wide scope.
right at the bare bones that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we as creators in this reality choose to manifest in many different ways. In some cases, we paint and draw. In some cases, we write poetry and songs. In other cases, we do sculptures and things. So it's how we channel an inspired idea into the physical realm. Some people, like I say, write poems, paint, play music. That's kind of at the fundamental source of it. But to become an artist, you have to really look around you and study what others have done who have come before you, because there's some absolutely astonishing talent has come to the planet and given us their wonderful art. Michelangelo, so many artists. I love so many artists. All through the years, I used to cut out things out of magazines, interesting letter styles or a font that I liked, or a cartoon, and I filled a massive folder, both sides, with all of these clippings of art, so that I could just study and see other things, see how things worked, or just what caught my eye. And then of course I progressed to studying other artists. My favourite artist of all time is Alphonse Mucha, who was the Czechoslovakian Art Nouveau pioneer. He pioneered a whole style of his own, and he was just the ultimate artist for me. He portrayed women as creatures of great beauty and elegance, and I liked his view of women. I liked how he portrayed them.
It's amazing. Look, it's an amazing explanation.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
So it kind of veers off from the original question, but the question is, if you want to be an artist or a musician, listen and look and learn, and ideas come from you in every direction. So don't be fussy about where the inspiration comes from. It could be something that a little kid said, or a jingle on the radio. Something sparks an idea and you think, oh, I've got a vision, I've got an idea. And sometimes things will come to you in a flash. And you go, oh, it's okay, I think I'll sketch that out. But the thing that I learned about drawing was that my right hand is disciplined because it's a sign writing hand and it's a drawing hand. It delineates and it cuts in edges and stuff. But my left hand is totally untrained. So what I do with my left hand is I sketch out what I'm going to draw. My left hand dictates the layout and the shapes and the lines, and then I use my right hand to delineate, to black in and colour those, because it's trained, it's more precise. So there are two sides you can use, and in fact I encourage everybody to draw with both hands.
Right, that's it. That's very educational. So, okay, there's a wide scope of artistry. So how do you think the role will evolve? Let's talk about AI. Is that good or bad for the future of artists?
Well, you have to look back into the history of art and how it's evolved over the years. They had these stone carvings on walls or paintings, and then they as materials changed, they do mosaics. It's just whatever was to hand. Artists just use anything that they can get. So to then progress to a level of computer-generated images, I'd say that the computer-generated images are simply pilfering from existing art. And although what I have seen is absolutely astonishing in its detail, and there's some very, very good ideas come out of it, but it is still just mimicry. And
is it soulful?
Is it soulful? I think you'd have to say that they mimic soulfulness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether it's really soulful or not, I don't think so. No.
No. It's
doesn't have a soul. Humans have a soul.
great answer, mate. Have you found living in this area good for your career?
I moved from Adelaide in '94 and built a house on this block because Adelaide marketplace is very, very tight, restricted. Brisbane had way more creative opportunities. So when I came here with my signwriting business, I could double my prices straight away. But yeah, that and all the other opportunities to work in film studios and television studios, those opportunities came by one different places.
Gotcha.
I worked for the Royal Queensland Theatre Company for 2.5, 3 years. I was their set painter, props maker, and a few other jobs that they handed me. But yeah, I worked in theatre and I worked in television. ABC Channel 2 had a series of short stories illustrating various tales, and then we did the set construction, set painting, and building of props and stuff. So we did a series of those for Channel 2, ABC Channel 2, and then I worked for ABC Channel 7, building their sets and painting their props. It was good work. I love the creative work.
Okay, so where did you grow up?
I was born here, but we moved to Adelaide when I was about 5 years old, and I grew up in Adelaide with all its horrible freezing cold winters and stinking hot summers, and boy am I glad to be back here in Queensland.
Oh, okay.
27 years.
27 years.
Yeah, grew up in Adelaide. Nice place.
Have you got any brothers and sisters?
I was born with 7 sisters, 3 of whom have since passed away. I have no brothers, but I have adopted Dave as my brother.
Oh, very lucky, yes. That's very kind. So tell us a little bit about your family life. What did your mother and father do?
My mother and father came out to Australia, escaping the onslaught of the Russian thuggery in the 1956 revolution. They escaped over the border, and it's kind of a long story, but I was born here. After 7 girls, there was 1 boy.
Right.
It's quite a shock.
Well, it would be after 7 girls. I can imagine your father would have been pretty happy when he found out.
He didn't know what to do with himself. He stood up, he sat down, he stood up, he sat down. He was beside himself with probably joy, I'd say.
Oh, that's nice. So, so what did your father do?
My father, back in Hungary, worked for a newspaper as a reporter, a Catholic newspaper. It was a Christian one. And when they escaped Hungary, of course they had nothing when they came here to Australia. My father, with his bad heart, was put on the railroads to work there. That was the hardest work ever.
That was dedication and sacrifice to your family.
Very much sacrifice, and it almost killed him. Later he learnt to speak English, and he got some office jobs. Towards the end of his life, he became a paymaster for a hospital, and had a heart operation to replace the mitral valve, which had been damaged when he fell under the ice.
Ooh.
One winter. So yeah, he'd had
in Melbourne.
No, this was in Hungary, and he worked hard and supported his family all right. Being very, very grateful to have such a kind and loving father.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lovely. That's lovely. What
He
about your mum?
he used to play the violin, and but that was long before I ever came along. Of course, when they escaped, they lost everything.
Right.
And but we had a piano in the lounge, and he'd sometimes play the piano. It's rare, but he'd sometimes play the piano.
That's lovely. And your mother? Does she work or looking
No.
after the kids, raising kids, or what's the?
Yes, but my mother was a housewife and raised the children, and when we moved to Australia, she didn't speak a word of English. And of course, throughout the rest of her life here, she didn't really learn much more, which is the reason why I learnt to speak Hungarian fluently, if I wanted to be fed.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
No, that's just a joke, folks. I love the Hungarian language.
Oh, sure.
It's elegant and highly expressive.
So talking about your parents, what traits did you pick up from your parents, or any traits?
My father had a good sense of humour, and he was a musician. My mother was a sensitive and creative soul. She wrote poetry, so she had an artistic side to her that was sensitive, and my father had a creative musical side and a sense of humour. So I inherited those wonderful traits from my parents, which I love and I love dearly. I'm very grateful.
And so you picked up the music, plus your sisters also were right into the music as well, weren't they?
Oh no, only one sister attempted to play the piano. I got all the musical bones in the family, folks.
Yeah.
All mine. No, they have sort of, some artistic skill, but no, I went fully into art and music. In my early teens, taught myself to play the guitar, the drums, the bass, the piano. Taught myself to draw, became a cartoonist, do hand lighting cartoons for a magazine, and then of course pursuing fine art and murals through my business connections.
the physical content in music where there's an action, there's in art, there's using brushes and knowing how to use it. But hang gliding's incredible. What's the buzz about that?
Oh, I took up hang gliding in '83. I was working, and a mate said, "Come out and watch these guys fly the coast." I went out and I thought, that's impressive. So I took on a course, learnt to hang glide, and probably after 20 years of hang gliding, I stopped mainly because of financial and health issues. But yes, I've had some fantastic hang gliding flights. I recommend people who are agile enough to at least do a tandem, because flying in a hang glider under a cloud, there's just nothing like it, and everything is so teensy-weensy. So little tiny cars and little tiny houses, and all your problems seem to be little tiny problems way down there.
Exactly, that's
But
good.
yeah, we managed to fly competitions, and we certainly improved. At one stage in 1986, three of us held the distance to goal record, which was 252 kilometres. And on that day I got to 14,500 feet.
Wow.
And there was another guy in a hang glider who took a picture of me, and so that was the highest I'd ever been. And the
What's the oxygen level like up there?
Oxygen is it's up there, but the air pressure doesn't exist to force it across into your lungs. There's oxygen up there, but not air pressure, so you become hypoxic if you stay up there for 10, 15 minutes. Fortunately, I got to the top, under the base of the cloud, and I just went for a long glide. And as I was coming down, the warm air from the earth, I came into a barrier, and it's warm air. So yeah, marvellous. I love hang gliding. I wish I could still do it now, but I'm a little bit disabled.
When you finish a hang gliding session, is it a downer? Like you just want to get straight back up there, or are you just satisfied?
Oh well, we've all got big grins on our faces because it's an elation. It's an elating experience to be up there and just flying around in the free air, in full control, mind you. You can watch out for those air pockets.
So you don't have to dream about flying, because you know what it feels like.
Oh, I did. I've had thousands of flights in a hang glider. One or two turned out where I had bad landings and I hurt myself, but other than that, I've certainly done it well and done it safely.
Wow. So going way back, did you do art at school?
Yeah, I did art at school, and we had a Chinese lady, Mrs. Lee, and of course all the kids used to make fun of her, But look, I took it seriously, and I came up to her and I asked her some questions, what makes good art? And she said to me, thick, thin line is more interesting than a straight line. And I thought I always remembered that. And even when I was signwriting and doing all those wobbly borderlines, there's one called a drunken man line, where you pull a line and then you wiggle it up and down, and you keep pulling it and you wiggle it up and down. But yeah, I loved hand painting signs. That was awesome.
As a youth then, who really inspired you?
I started drawing cartoons in school because I was bored with maths, and that was sort of like, irregular sort of thing. And then I sort of started drawing caricatures, oh, that's fucking funny, better not get caught by the teacher. Otherwise you get the strap. There's a long, thick, heavy leather thing, man. That was brutal.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. But yeah, I always thought that
it doesn't have to be an artist. It could be anybody.
Yeah, no, I always thought that what people achieved through art was just astonishing. This is a superhuman thing. I mean, Joe Bloggs drives his truck to work every day, but this other guy paints a portrait of a woman holding a baby, and it elicits this beautiful emotion, because he's using references that we all use. We all have a common references to which we all respond similarly. But I looked into art books. I looked into cartooning. I found Musha. I found J.C. Leyendecker, who was one of the most astonishing portrait artists, and all of the other artists. And I think, look at what these people did. How do they do it? You know, and it's basically just years and years of practice and skill until after a while they can already tell what it's going to look like even before they paint it, because they know. But yeah, those people inspired me. Of course, Disney was wonderful, and I'd come home to Bugs Bunny cartoons every afternoon at 4:30.
Yeah, right.
I loved cartoons.
We all did.
The humour, you know.
I mean, Daffy Duck, the sarcastic ones, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, back then there was no political correctness.
No,
you know,
right.
if they thought it was funny, they did the gag.
That's right.
Mm.
So, as a youth, what was your first paint job? Did you paint a scooter or a bicycle or anything, or a drum kit?
You mean artistic?
Yeah.
Artistic.
Well, it could be a portrait. It could be anything. What do you remember? The youngest that you painted?
I've kept most of the things that I've created over the years, and they start off as crude portraits or wobbly, misshapen, versions of motorcycles or clouds. But eventually, you look at what you're doing and you're going, oh, well, that needs changing and that needs changing. So you adjust, you learn, and you progress as a skilled artist.
And were you always asking, when am I going to find my own style? Is that something that...
Finding your own style, I define as doing what you want to do the way you like to do it.
That's good.
Yeah, so, there's no rules. There are, however, some very, very excellent guidelines towards how art works, how a picture, a layout, a colour scheme works. When I started Signwriting as an improver, I went to night school, and I learned all of the skills. And funnily enough, they had a test for who could copy this text. It said "wet your whistle," and 15, 20 of us all had a go. I came out on tops. I got it exactly right. So that was encouraging. And then of course I saw all these beautiful gold leaf windows that signwriters do for tattoo parlours and cafes and stuff, and I thought, I want to do that.
Yeah, right.
And then I started to do larger paintings, and then I had a go at painting a mural. A cafe calls me in, they want me to do a mural on their wall. It's like 12 feet by 4 feet, and it's they gave me a postcard this big, and everything on it's like these little tiny splotchy blobs. So okay, I'm going to splotchy blob the whole mural, and it turned out great because it was impressionistic in a way.
Yeah, well that's it. No. And how old at that time?
19.
19. That's
19
good.
when I decided to take up signwriting, but it didn't stop there because I was interested in display and theatre. After I did the signwriting, I went back and did a year's course with the Contemporary Arts in Adelaide on theatre, which is where I learnt costume making, scenic art, set construction, the whole lighting, the whole deal. And then I got some work with the Royal Queensland Theatre Company. Yeah, and obviously scenic artist and props maker. I helped build sets and stuff. I loved that work. Didn't pay terribly well, but it was really creative.
When was your first paying job? When did you think, I'm going to make art a business?
As in self-employed.
Self-employed?
Yeah, it's when I started. It's when I started Buzz Displays in my little shed back home, and I got work from various places. But yeah, I was sending out cards and calling up people and introducing myself, and just how you do when you canvass the business.
Do you enjoy it now?
I enjoy being creative. There are various aspects of it which are monotonous.
Like
Vinyl cut lettering isn't creative. It's just, strip it out, stick it on, and it's done. It looks great, it's perfect, but it's got no character or humanness about it, which is why I still love hand-painted signs, because they've just got this living character. Everything else is just sterile, you know. It's really straight and neat, but it's just boring.
Okay.
So yeah, occasionally I got opportunities to do murals, but
and you were designing as well, right? You get to design the artwork or the signage for the shop.
Well, the best part of the work was the creative side. You know, I love to design lettering styles and layouts and colour schemes and things. The thing that a lot of so-called signwriters these days, mom and pop stores, they print signs, but they don't know how to do layouts and they don't know a thing about colour schemes. So, you know, back when I was learning art, I really went in depth as far as colour theory goes, and how colours work and how layouts work, and of course collected a massive amount of artwork. I'd get on the internet and just download pictures of beautiful and fantastic and incredibly awesome works done by artists. I go, if they can do it, I can do it.
That's good. My father, he was a signwriter, and we used to get up on the ladders to do the shop front awnings with the ladder irons. Did you do that?
Actually, the ladder irons were banned.
Well, they were
early on.
Yeah.
And I thought they were a great idea.
It's a great idea.
But
Love it.
you know, so some fall has to fall off a couple of times for them to ban it. But
Yeah.
no, I use mostly scaffolding and trestles and stuff.
And
Or the top of my van.
That's a great idea.
I worked off the top of my van a lot. I just get a plank and just...
And were your family proud of you doing that industry? Or earning the buck, you know?
They really never said much, you know, because they're busy doing their own things. But I think they saw that I was doing good creative work, valuable work, you know, signs that looked really good. And that people say, wow, you know, we're going around town, we can see Jules' jobs, we can pick the jobs that he's done,
That's
you know.
nice,
Yeah.
That's good. And, okay, so where do you kind of go for work? Up to Brisbane, now you're in Cornubia, how far do you like to travel? You don't like to travel too far, or?
Oh, look, I'll go 100 kilometres for a decent job, but we try and keep it down here to southeast Queensland because it's just sensible.
I've seen some of the...
They've got signwriters, you know, up in Gympie.
But it's about relationships, because you've been with some guys for like 30 years, you've been doing
True.
work, right?
When I first came to Brisbane, I joined the Barter Card Network, which turned out to be
Interesting.
the bane of my existence.
Is it still going now?
I don't know, but I left after 10 years. I'd accrued a massive tax debt because Barter doesn't give you cash, it gives you points. Cautionary tale, folks.
And then you have to pay tax on the points.
And then you have to pay tax on the points, and that's what buried me.
I see.
That's.
Beware.
Yeah. So anyway, if you do Barter Card, do no more than 10% of your annual turnover.
I see.
Yeah, because otherwise they will piss in your pocket, and they will just load you up with all this useless points. And you know, I didn't have any other work at the time, so I had to.
Well, you've got to go where the work is, don't you?
I branched out. I found cash-paying customers, and then I finally quit Barter Card.
Great.
Yeah.
Good news.
Good news, yes, indeed. But I advertise on Marketplace. I advertise on Gumtree. I have ads up in different places. I still promote, even though now I'm 64 and I'm going to be retiring in the next year. I still promote people. I still hand them my cards.
The word retire as an artist seems unreal.
It's a misnomer. You don't stop being creative.
Exactly.
Yeah. You want to be more and more creative the older you get.
But that's the gift of artwork. It keeps giving, and you can do it until you're 110.
Well,
You can think it till you're 110.
The creative spirit is boundless. Boundless.
Right.
I don't know how spiritual people out there will be. It's usually a spiritual force that animates these bodies that we have, whether you believe in that or not. But we're spirits having a human experience, and that spirit is creative. So while it's in the human body, it can do things like design dresses and build granny flats and all that. Yeah. So
well, Jules can do pretty well everything. You mentioned like the fashion. He's pretty well built his house and the extensions and all that. He's done signwriting, done theatre, done music. Have you ever thought of acting?
No, that's all a bit of make pretend and cornball to me. I like realism. And they're all just acting. All these guys.
That's right.
What are they doing? Oh, here come the styrene rocks coming down.
Which it leads me to sculpture. You enjoy sculpting, don't you?
Yeah, it's rare because it takes up space.
It does. Storage.
Yeah.
How many artists out there think that they've got all this styrene and they're going to do all this stuff, and then they realise I've got nowhere to do it. You know.
It's messy.
And it
takes up space.
And it floats.
Here's the thing about three-dimensional objects. When you do a job for somebody and they want a sign, it's a flat two-dimensional sign. You can then raise that sign to 3 dimensions, or you can paint a fake shadow and make it look 3-dimensional. But the costs really go up when you start to go out, and 3-dimensional. If it's flat, it only costs so much. You start to become 3-dimensional in the sculpture, that's when it takes time and money. And not everybody wants to pay for that. So, if you do sculpting, you do it for your own pleasure.
Which leads me to, if there's a mural, how do you quote for a mural? How do you quote? There are a few ways.
Yes.
But how do you find the best?
Well, look, there's the hourly rate and plus materials, plus a 20% profit is a standard business practice for any work that you do. There's also the commission, and if you are commissioned with a work of art, you're certainly allowed to charge more because you're commissioned because you are a specific artist that they want to use you specifically.
Yeah.
And because you've built up a reputation,
you're a brand.
You're a quality item. You can then charge it a commission. So rather than say this mural will be $500 on the side of a cafe, this mural will be $5,000 on the side of the council's entry as you walk into there. So there's different ways of valuing these things, but don't be hard on the artist, please. He's earned it. If he asks you for $5,000, give it to him.
That's right. Very interesting and useful information.
Yeah. There are also trades. You can do trades, but that's just bartering. Yeah. So as far as the sculptures go, when I was working for RQTC, Royal Queensland Theatre Company, as their props guy, I had to go out and find some animal heads, stuffed animal heads. And I found a couple of blokes, but they all just wanted incredible amounts of money. Those theatres. Theatre company operates on a thin shoestring, okay? A thin one. Anyway, after the third day, I thought, I'm just going to carve these out of styrene foam. So I carved the heads out of styrene foam. I got some fake fur and stuck it on, and then brushed it out and airbrushed it and made it look like You know, I carved the plaques, you know, routed them out, and they had props that they could use and reuse.
Yeah, exactly.
And it only cost me a day's work. So yeah, sculpture is fun.
I like
sculpture.
that. That's the great thrill of being a creative artist, is working on the run, freestyling when there is no budget and there are really no materials. So, and that's where you've got to use your imagination and your creative skills. Do you agree?
Oh, over the years, well, I'm 64 now. I started signwriting in '79. I went into theatre, television, and worked for all those different companies. Over the years, you just keep accumulating knowledge and skills.
Mm.
When I learnt about scenic art textures, how to do marble floors and wood grain and stuff, you know, I just stuck to it.
Wow.
Well, this is easy for me because somehow there's some kind of logic going on, you know.
What are some of the favourite projects you've worked on?
Oh, look, there was a comics shop in the city that asked me to do a big mural. It was like...
Is that Crazies?
No.
That was something.
I'll get the Crazies.
Yeah.
No, this comics, etc. And it was like 3 8x4 sheets high. And it was all of these superheroes, you know, in this perspective shot, shooting out and coming out and doing the sort of like, you know, the stance. I loved that job. Crazy's restaurant called me in. They were in Paddington, and they asked me to repaint the entry and do their signs. And I did some of the wackiest signs for those guys because I was allowed to. It's the right subject matter. Inside Crazy's comedy restaurant, I painted all of these bizarre animals, people, creatures, aliens, you know. And it took me 2 weeks, and I was painting the whole thing in fluorescent colours under black lights, and that was like I'm playing. I've got a glowing neon tip on the end of this brush, and as I'm painting it, this neon appears on the wall, and that was quite an interesting project. I loved Crazies. Pictures at 11.
Right. And I know that you enjoy watching the old style movies because of the lighting. How important do you think lighting is to the sets and the jobs that you do?
I'm a big fan of film noir, black and white movies, because quite simply the level of the art was high, really high art. Cameramen were artists, directors were artists.
Yes.
You know, even the actors, but they captured this because they only had black and white. Lighting was everything. Lighting was the shape, the contour, the outline, the edge. You know,
the dynamics,
the texture. Yeah. So black and white lighting, absolutely crucial. High art.
It's a bit
wonderful.
It's almost like Caravaggio.
Yeah, many times I've seen frames in black and white movies that I think would make awesome paintings. Wow. Because they composed it just right. Back then they had wonderful artists. Name escapes me. All the American popular magazines had the best artists doing portraits and illustrations.
Do you like big budget jobs or small budget jobs?
Well, I've worked on some big budget jobs, and it's great to feel part of a team, that you've got a task to do, and that you do that, and it's part of the finished job. And of course, when I worked with you down on the Gold Coast, we were painting all of those roofs. We're painting these zinc and eel roofs, bright, really bright, in the middle of summer, and I'm up there getting sunburnt, and it's hot, and I'm splashing paint on these silver things, and I'm spraying it and rubbing it on, God knows what, and making it look 200 years old with all of the rust and the sand and in sort of, that was wonderful. That was a good job on that. That was when I was part of a big one. When I was part of theatre and television, I also played my part. The small jobs are where you get to take control, and it's your vision, and it's your input that matters, so you better get it right.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And we all need tools and equipment to do these jobs. I've seen Jules has probably got 6 Alices and everything you need. How is it important to look after your tools and equipment?
Look, if you don't have tools that work, you can't work. That's the short
Yeah, that's right.
the short end of it.
Because I'm just saying this because there's a lot of young people out there who sometimes they're on a big crew and they just think, oh, we'll just buy another one. It's not like that.
Yeah,
You can't run like that.
there's a terrible throwaway society. You know, throw away everything, throw away furniture, throw away houses, and they throw away brushes and rollers. I clean them. Early on, I learned to respect really good quality brushes, especially my Signwriting brushes.
Oh yeah.
They're expensive, and you take really good care of them. You get as many years use out of them as possible.
I know a couple of Signwriters. My father had Signwriting brushes.
Yeah.
We interviewed Ian Mercho last week.
Yeah.
He's had brushes for 45 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I'm tragic. I'm hopeless at looking after tools.
Oh look, when I worked at Channel 7, the main artist there, Ard Vanderbilt, a Dutch fella, lovely man, tremendously good artist. And he showed me, look, you get the brush, you open the faucet and you jam the faucet right down into the root of the hairs, right down into the hairs in the bottom, and you move it around, you get all of the paint out of that, because that's where they start to choke and shorten. So yeah, taught me some good stuff.
That's right, yeah. Okay, can you remember one of the most zaniest moments or events during a project that you've seen? Well, that takes some time. There's multiple.
It's mucking about in the workshop. You know, people coming in with funny wigs, you know, just playing pranks on each other, that sort of stuff. I like that.
Working for yourself, you'll find yourself working around the clock generally sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And that's when the delirium sets in.
The quirks.
Yeah.
That's when the quirks show up. And if you're under pressure for a long time, you start to think, well, how can I laugh through this?
Well, this is what I love about Jules. He's got this great sense of humour. And even, he fell off the roof 2 years ago, and he said it's been a struggle, but he's making a great comeback, and he's still working, and he can always laugh about things, which you need a great sense of humour.
It's essential, I'm afraid, for surviving this world. That's the funny side of it, even though I said it in a sad way.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, to survive you have to have a slightly thicker skin and a sense of humour, because there's no shortage of stupid people.
That's right.
No shortage of point a stick in any direction, you know. So you have to kind of smooth things over with a laugh.
Have you worked overseas internationally, or just basically in Australia?
I've only worked in South Australia and Queensland. I went overseas for 3 months, but I didn't want to work, you know. I took my guitar with me, I entertained people.
We're going to listen to that song, and we'll get some video of that. I'll put that on too. Okay, so that kind of leads me to, what is your favourite part of the world?
My favourite part of the world has to be the beach.
Anywhere.
The ocean.
The ocean. That's
It's a healer. It's a teacher. It's so many good things. It cleans your skin and it's an antiseptic. The movement of swimming around in waves is just it's hypnotic. It's wonderful. I love the beach. Yeah.
Okay. What's your favourite music?
Well, it has to be guitar-based acoustic music. That, for me, is where the musician is completely exposed. In that there's no faking what you can hear. They are the music. The musician is the music. And I've had the good opportunity to meet some of my favourite musicians who are just on another level as far as musicianship goes. I know there's a lot of really fantastic shredders and noodlers and stuff, but they don't make you feel anything except anxiety, you know. But when these other people play, you say, oh, that's gorgeous. Harmony, and of course there's an art to playing music because it follows the same rules as visual art, you know, line, texture, negative space, where you focus attention. You do the same thing with music, and some of my favourite musicians lull me to sleep at night with guitar music.
I've always thought that the action is more the craft in the art. Is that? How do you find that? What's the difference between art and craft?
Art and craft are similar but different. Craft is actually really about doing it, and art is really about the aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what okay. All right. Your favourite food?
Chocolate.
What was that? Louder?
Death by chocolate.
Death by chocolate. Yes.
Yeah, I've got to watch the chocolate. It's.
What about home heritage meals like
I can
Hungarian?
cook.
Jules' heritage is from Hungary, right?
That's right. My mother cooked Hungarian meals when I grew up, and I still cook a couple of those, which are just fantastically awesome. If you want to hear it in Hungarian, it's paprikás krumpli, which means paprika with potato and slices of spicy sausage, and paprika, of course. And then there's chicken paprika, goulash. The cakes are wonderful.
Because you get
The soups are good.
Jules gets this at the Hungarian club down the road too.
I went to the Hungarian club on the weekend and I brought back some meals, and one of them was paprikás krumpli, the other one was pörkölt, which is a beef stew, and then the other one was székely káposzta. Székely is a town down in the south of Hungary, and that is cabbage with cubes of meat, and Dave loves it. I like it too. So yeah, the Hungarian food is kind of good, solid.
Favourite drink?
Orange juice.
Orange juice.
Mandarin juice.
With pulp.
With pulp, yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's alive with flavour and energy. It's some of the best mandarin and orange juice I've ever tasted is here in Australia.
Lovely.
Water, H2O.
H2O.
No, don't go past it.
Got any old favourite jokes?
Oh, well, I'll tell you my favourite dumbest joke ever. It's a knock joke.
Okay.
Knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupt. That's great. Wonderful.
I made that up.
Mm.
Pretty stupid, huh? Hey, it's funny. Gets people off guard.
So, what's your favourite pastime, way to relax?
Playing music. Any kind of music. Spanish, classical, jazz, folk, rock, pop. It's all great. And most nights I play music.
That's nice. If you could choose another profession entirely, what would that be?
Seriously?
Yeah, anything.
Anything.
Or have you just been blessed to be able to do what you've been doing your whole life?
I'm doing music and art, and I love that.
Okay.
It would probably be somewhere to do with music and art.
Okay.
Perhaps composing.
Writing a book, or you thought about that?
I've written some short stories already. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and poetry too.
Oh, poetry. Yes, folks, I am somewhat afflicted.
Is there a short poem that you remember? You can.
The shortest one I ever wrote.
Well, can you remember it? I mean,
I can.
Put you on the spot.
The shortest.
Let's hear
The
it.
shortest one I've ever written was called "I Hugged a Tree," and it goes, "I hugged a tree. It gave me a rash."
That's not.
So 2 lines, no shorter than that. With poetry I started writing in my teens, and I found a very, very effective way to know the contents of my own mind, because what I saw being written down on the page was what was sort of in my subconscious. And I found that it helped explain, helped me to understand what's going on. And then later on I diversified into songwriting, and then learning to create songs. And a lot of those poems would fit songs, but at the moment, currently, after maybe 20 years of writing, I've got 45 books of poetry with 50 poems in them each. That are hand-picked, like the best one out of every 5. So there's a whole lot more that'll never be heard or seen, but these other ones that I'm preparing to publish, they'll go out to the globe and hopefully inspire, entertain and enrich, because that's really what I'm intending to do. And of course there's a lot of ideas in the poetry books that I never said no to. You know, whether it was controversial or whether it was, dark. I took every idea that came to me and tried to create a piece, an art piece with it. So, in itself it's complete. And usually I'll open with an introduction, tell the story through the middle, and then at the bottom there'll be a punchline which sums up the whole poem. I found that to be really effective in songwriting and poetry.
Do you feel that in this politically correct world that art is losing its edge, or it's unfair for artists who can't say things anymore?
That's always, you mean prohibition and
Well, it seems, I mean, look...
censorship.
Sure, censorship.
Yeah. Some things should be censored because they are just too offensive, because most humans just want to be decent and clean and really don't want the contents, the gritty, filthy contents of somebody's imagination exposed to their eyes. On the other hand, there is a lot of wonderful and beautiful art which uplifts the spirit. So in that way, if it offends you and makes you feel awful, it's not good art. It's art.
It's shock value.
It's shock value, and that's always been a cheap shot. So no, I always believe in the integrity of an image, in that you did that intentionally to communicate something, but then art communicates
something positive.
Something positive. We've seen a lot of ugly stuff.
Gotcha.
Don't do ugly. Don't.
That's a great piece of advice. Would you recommend becoming an artist for today's youth?
Yes. It's valuable because it shows you a pathway from an idea through to manifesting it into the real world. And you do need some skills and ability. So you need to learn how to draw lines or circles or paint or apply a brush. There's just so many different ways. The mediums are limitless. There's limitless things you can use for art. But like I said earlier, do something that makes people feel good or smile, because there's just way too much ugly already. Especially that Picasso shit. I hate that. Can't stand ugly Picasso.
What would be a good piece of advice for an up-and-coming artist or musician or creative person?
Don't put up creative blocks.
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, if an artist says, I'm going to do a flat back painting and I'm going to paint squiggles all over it, what is its inherent value?
Okay.
How long does it take? What do people get from it? You know, how much would it sell for? And don't believe the scams that galleries put the prices on things. I've seen paintings that are just a big red square and it sells for $20 million. That's apocryphal. But as far as young artists, you will discover yourself in ways that you never really appreciate or thought would be possible. But with the practice and improvement of that art or music, you are improving yourself. And not just that, you are creating something of value that other people will be enriched and will value. You know, so start by copying things that you like. Copying music, copying artists, copying letter font styles, and just learn what somebody else's hand has created, because it'll teach you. Once you go around those curves and straights, you start to feel something and learn. But no, don't put up any creative blocks. No idea is a really bad idea unless it's done badly. You know, the art should communicate ideas, feelings and thoughts. It also should entertain and decorate. So some art is decorative, some art is figurative, some art is simply just there as a background texture. But the guy who does the squiggles on the black background, take a photo of it and create a textured background for something. You know, there's endless expositions of art, whether you see it in a piece of cloth, the design of a piece of cloth, or you know, on a tea cozy or on a matchbox head. You know, the world is full of design and art is everywhere, and I encourage people to pick up a pencil or a piece of chalk and see what it does for them. You know, lots of people say that they can't draw stick people. I said everybody can draw stick people, but not everybody can draw like Michelangelo. That takes dedication and focus.
Right.
So dedication and focus, all you young uns out there.
Yep. And don't create creative blocks.
Yeah, don't put up blocks. Don't say, I can't do this, I can't do that. Never say I can't. Never. Never. Because you're conditioning yourself to be a loser. Wow. So you've got to always stay as positive as you can. Because positivity will lead you on to better things, but negativity will kill everything you love and hold dear.
That is the most wonderful advice you could ever give. What does the future hold for Jules Makk? Hang on, give me your Hungarian name, because we call him Jules, but how do you pronounce it?
My name is Makk, M-A-K-K. It translates as acorn, and my first name is Gyula, which means sort of translated into Julius. And now I use a foreshortened version of it as Jules. People started calling me Jules.
Gotcha.
Instead of Julius.
So Jules Makk.
Yeah, Makk is a Hungarian
right.
pronunciation. Most people just say Mac.
So what does the future hold for Jules Makk?
Jules Makk is going to keep being creative as possible until his last breath. You know, I've got dozens and dozens of canvases up in the loft. I've got dozens and dozens of songs to finish down in the recording studio downstairs. And there's all these guitars that I want to finish building, you know, because I build all these guitars. But yeah, I'm just gonna share my creative work with the world, whether it's poetry, short stories, murals, guitars, songs. I've got an album of songs that I produced called Out of the Blue. It's the only CD I've ever produced, because at that time CDs started to wane in popularity. But all the other songs, oh God, I've got hundreds that need to be finished, that I'm still sort of sculpting into shape. They're all worthwhile, and I'll just keep working on them. In between, I'll be able to do some small sign work. I know I'm allowed to do some small sign work. The big stuff is going to kill me anyway, so
Right.
so little jobs like truck doors and stuff, I can still do. I still want to keep a hand in sign writing because it's taken me this long to establish it. I want to work with what I've created.
Well, we know Jules is going to continue for a long time now. I just want to say this has been the most incredible chat, the most insightful and deep and heartfelt conversation with an amazing artist, creative genius. Jules Makk, thank you very much.
Dave, it's been a pleasure. I love to share my inspiration and my insights with everyone so that they can benefit. And I hope somebody has benefited from this. And Dave is doing a series of these, so I encourage you to watch the other ones as well.
Thank you. And Jules, we're going to finish with some lovely music from Jules on the guitar after we finish chatting.
All right.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Music next. This song is called Under the Sun. It's one of Dave's favourites. I've written lots and lots of songs. Back in 2000 I ran an original songwriters night called Wax Lyrical every week. In the third year I was doing them 3 nights a week, which kind of spent me a bit. But I learned a lot about what people like in music and what a good song is. So I've got lots and lots of songs to play here, but I'm just going to play you this one because it's Dave's favourite. This song is called Under the Sun. I hope you enjoy it. Used to think there'll never be a day when I'll be called to heaven far away. These present moments pass, it seems to be. There's only so much time left here for me to see my sighs to the clear blue skies. Ask myself, who am I before I'm gone? The moment passes on. We're all God's children under the sun. And God is everywhere and everyone. And God is is everything under the sun. This world is just a passing fantasy, and heaven is the one reality. To see through eyes that are worldly wise, and to know that you and I are one. The moment passes on, we're all God's children under the sun. To see through eyes that are worldly wise, and to know that you and I are one. The moment passes on, we're all God's children under the sun. I used to think there'll never be a day when I'll be called to heaven far away. These present moments pass, it seems to be. There's only so much time left here for me to sing my sighs to the clear blue skies. Ask myself, who am I before I'm gone? The moment passes on, we're all God's children under the sun.